Hello and welcome to Billy Ho Sports. This week begins sort of a reoccurring recap update, weekend update on horse racing that I've kind of been interested in doing, kind of the latest news and covering all the big doings over the weekend in case you missed out on anything. Nice event to recap the Travers Stakes this last weekend. Another checkbox in the fierceness category in the ballot for 3-year-old horse of the year. This episode, we are going to review the Travers itself, in addition to other 3-year-old males, touch on any other big happenings. We'll head out west and do a little Del Mar recap on the Pat O'Brien and cover some older dirt females that took place at Saratoga on Saturday. So stick around, a lot to cover. Thank you for joining me. Viewer support is always very important to me. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel and click on that like button. And of course, comments are always encouraged and more than welcome. Let's go. Yeah, shout out to everybody that had fierceness, as I did not. He's now matched what Dornoch has done by winning back-to-back major stakes races, showing his versatility in this one, not going directly to the lead as Batten Down and Dornoch braked. Batten Down broke very sharply to the lead, and then Dornoch kind of followed. Torpedo Anna broke sharply, and then just kind of laid back into the pocket for her ground-saving trip. And Fierceness just sat off the top two the whole way, pretty much, until they got to the mid-stretch, mid-turn, and then he started to take control at the top of the stretch, and it was over, as they say, because Fierceness proved once again you're not catching him down the stretch. Sierra Leone had no shot, and along with no excuses this time, because he made his move on time and was hitting the stretch with plenty of ground to cover. He just couldn't get there. Did close a bit, but very impressive. There's a double take kind of, I guess, with Torpedo Anna's effort, because very fortunate she can break fast and stay on the inside. She had that pocket trip, saving ground inside the whole way. And then after she settled in fourth, she dipped out to the 4-path in the stretch drive and was able to close ground on Fierceness, but just ran out of real estate and was not winning that race as far as I'm concerned. But I think she did prove she belongs. She ran very well. Dornoch, I thought the effort was there, just got gassed by the time they hit the stretch, but his effort, I thought, was solid. I thought he left it all out there. After making his 6th start of the season, he has not been freshened since he turned 3 years old and made his debut. So he's definitely going to be in need of some rest. Batten Down, like I said, was broke to the lead, but watched after 8 furlongs. My idea and opinion is Bill Mott should consider using him in sprint races or up to a mile. If you want to call a mile a sprint, he could be a miler or a 7 furlong. I don't think you want to go any lower than that, but like that 7 to furlong to mile, kind of similar to what Cody's Wish ended up doing. That kind of racing, I think, would do well for that horse, and it would add some real intrigue to that division. As we'll get to later on, we're going to cover some other divisions other than the 3-year-olds. We'll also take a look at our top 10 here momentarily, so stay with us. The other were running, didn't make a difference. They were not even close. Honor Marie was super disappointing. He should be better than that, coming in fresh, adding blinkers, and just had absolutely nothing, not even engaged in the race whatsoever. Started 8th, finished 8th, no pulse at all in the race. And the other two, Wisdom and the such, just were no factors in my book. I didn't even give them a chance to begin with. I thought they were outmatched. But I did a little quick recap of the top 10. So here they are. Top 10s in the 3-year-old dirt, but I am going to include Torpedo Anna. It's only fair to do that. Actually, it's not a top 10. My apologies. I just did kind of like an extended top 5. I didn't want to take too much time. So Forever Young is not going to be in this. Disappointing that he's not ran since the Derby. Also disappointing, I think Japan makes the mistake. They need to compete more in these summer stakes races. They run in the Derby and then they do the Dubai thing and they do all their prep races to get into the Derby. Then they run in the Derby. Then they go back to Japan. Then you don't see them to the fall. We want to see this horse. I wanted to see Forever Young run in one of these major stakes races in the summer, whether it was Haskell or Jim Dandy or Travers or whatever, is to see be out here for one race. They could have gone back and forth. Plenty of time to do that kind of traveling these days. And with a horse and the money that Japan has, they make it pretty comfortable. So anyway, that's my take on that. Uh, Anyone think this horse could have competed? I think so. Also, probably a little bit on the blasphemous side to keep out Mystic Dan and Seize the Gray. But in my opinion, they're still right there, 6 through 8, in the top 10, but not on my top 5 list. Because in my opinion, they've peaked and the upside down the road might not be there. So we're doing a bonus horse, so we are having 6 because I couldn't decide Torpedo Anna and Mindframe, so I put them tied 5th. I thought that was fair. Mindframe ran right along with Dornoch in his 2 straight major races. With only 4 starts, he's still improving and still could be a major player down the road. Also 5, like I said, Torpedo Anna had that good trip in the Travers, but the way she closed ground at the end was impressive. Her resume is obviously as good as anybody's, winning everything and the Kentucky Oaks and all the Philly competitions that she's been in. So that brings us to number 4. Sierra Leone still looks good enough, but he should have won one of these recent races, in my opinion. He still runs well, puts himself into position, and finishes on the board. So you got to rank him in the top 5. I think I'm still going to rank as number 3, Muth, even though he hasn't raced since way back in March. He hasn't been either worse. He hasn't been worse than second, first or second in every race he's ran. He's still a championship type 3-year-old. Baffert needs to get him back on the track soon, and he is possible for next week's Pacific Classic for 3-year-olds and up. If he races and wins there, that should put him right back in the mix with everybody else, heading toward Del Mar and kind of home court advantage in a sense. Baffert has him training really hard, all his workouts handily. He's got back-to-back gate workouts in August. So I'm looking forward to seeing him again very, very soon. Then that brings us to number 2, Dornoch, who gassed out in the stretch in this last Travers, but he's still a strong horse. I think can get to 10 furlongs just fine, like he did in the Belmont. I believe that the 6th start in the cycle was probably finally caught up to him, and he just didn't have it in the stretch. I think he's in store for a nice rest and return in good shape and ready for Del Mar. His running style fits along with our number 1 horse, Fierceness, who no doubt has reestablished himself as the top 3-year-old. Performance in the last 2 races has been both versatile and professional. It seems as long as he gets a good trip, he's tough to beat, and in the right spot, he dominates. So, in the sprint division, Domestic Product winning the Jerkin Stakes, closing hard down the stretch like he did was very impressive. My favorite bet of the week was Prince of Monaco in this race. He took over at the top of the stretch, and he was looking good until he got ran down. He was just out kicked, so he didn't quit. I like the way Prince of Monaco fights down the stretch. He just got kind of out kicked by a little bit better horse that day in Domestic Product, who has improved drastically since I was critical of him earlier in the season. World Record did lead the way, but he just ran out of gas way too soon. Domestic Products improvement, like I said, his early and middle speed has made the difference, because he was a guy that only had his only 2 major wins came at 25-second opening quarter, 51-second half miles. So he needed a slower pace to keep up with so he could get after him down the stretch. But now he's running a lot better in the early middle speed. He's grown up a lot and matured a lot. So Domestic Product on the improve, trying to sprint for the first time. So let's see where he ends up this fall. He could go to a sprint, he could go to a mile, or he could go. I don't know that they'll go in the Classic. I don't think he's on that level. Meanwhile, at Del Mar, they ran the Pat O'Brien. Speaking of sprinters, the Chosen Vron has been the top sprinter in the country this year and probably for the foreseeable past. The 6-year-old has had his way with this division, but an upstart horse half his age bursts onto the scene. Raging Torrent didn't show a whole lot as a 2-year-old and didn't really hit his stride until Derby Day, where he romped in an allowance race. Then he came back to win the Maxfield Stakes after that to make it back-to-back wins at Churchill Downs before heading out west. Looked like he was shot out of a cannon in this race. 7 furlong sprint, opening quarter in 22 and a half seconds, then holding under 46 seconds for the half mile. Then the Chosen Vron seemingly taking over at the top of the stretch, had him in his sights and began moving by the youngster, but he wasn't having it. Jockey Antonio Frigiu was working his horse, and he responded. By the time they hit the wire, he got clear by a half length. So great resilience shown by the 3-year-old colt. So FYI, running in fourth in that race was one Senior Buscador, for some reason trying a sprint. I didn't know where that was coming from. Maybe they just wanted to get him a race in since he got back from Dubai, or just to see how he'd do at a sprint for kicks and giggles. I don't know. It didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me at the time. But back over at the spa, I wanted to touch on one final, the older female down the stretch. He kind of geared down, I thought, after he got by randomized, but didn't notice how hard charging Flavian Pratt and Raging Sea was. Flavian Pratt, being the tactician that he is, began charging late, and he couldn't get Idiomatic re-engaged in time, I think. That's just what my eyeballs told me, and just got beat.
Dan to the inside, epic ride 3 wide.
Hello, Billy Ho here. As the sole creator for this channel, I need you, the viewer, to help me grow. Just by subscribing to the channel and clicking that like button alone, you can help spread Billy Ho Sports to the racing community on YouTube. But there are other ways you can help. You can instantly share my content on social media directly to your chosen platform. Finally, there are ways you can contribute to the show's growth financially. I use cash apps such as Venmo and PayPal. You can check the description of my videos for the details there. Also, did you know there was a super thanks option on YouTube? Yeah, just click those 3 little dots at the bottom right hand of my videos, select thanks, use the sliding scale to choose a monetary value that you would like to contribute, and boom, there you go. Remember, your continued support means so much to me, so thank you for sharing in this journey, and have a great day. Okay, that's going to cover this week in racing. Be on the lookout for this week's racing action as we're going to go coast to coast once again. We're going to hit Del Mar on Friday for some Breeders' Cup Challenge Series racing. And then we'll head over Saturday, Saratoga, for the Jockey Club Gold Cup, the 10-furlong affair on dirt for 3-year-olds and up. We have the Pacific Classic at Del Mar on Friday. As always, I thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.